Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Dirty Martini. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you're having an amazing day. You know what? Actually, even if it's not an amazing day that you're having, I hope you're having a better day, a better week than me. Now, honestly, the bar isn't that high. I don't mean to be complaining. You know what? No. I fully mean to complain because this is my space and I can say whatever the heck I want. So, I have had an extremely emotional and simply draining week. I have cried. I kid you not. I'm not over exaggerating. I have cried every single day, and I don't mean a tear or two. I mean like full blown crying sessions that last hours that lead to migraines that make all the fluids that are inside your body run out of your eyes in the form of tears, that make your skin go red and your lips extremely puffy, which honestly is yet again making me question if I want lip filler, but that is a topic for a different time. Basically, I haven't had the easiest of weeks. And you know what signaled to me that it is going to be one of those weeks? The fact that on Monday, I spent, again, no over exaggeration, I spent 2.5 hours. That is what? 60 plus 60. So I spent 150 minutes until 3 a.m. trying to reboot my laptop to get it to work again, only to find out that I somehow, in the middle of the night, while getting up to go brush my teeth, had pressed a button which dims the light of the display, and I had turned it down to the lowest possible point, and because it was dark, because it was 3 a.m. and I had turned off my lamp and everything, it appeared as if my laptop was not working. The display was not turning on, and I was rebooting with every single key combination I know. And it was making rebooting sound. So this encouraged me that it's actually functioning. And I was trying to figure out how to get the battery out. And I kid you not, I was so stressed out. First of all, priorities. I was stressed out because I was like, well, how am I going to edit and post my podcast now? Hello? Another reason I was stressed out is because I just bought this laptop literally 3 months ago. I saved up my money for it because I needed it desperately because my old one was barely holding up. God bless its, I would say heart, but God bless its battery. And, I was like, was that it? Did I literally give all my savings away for this to last 3 months? And the thing is, I also have deadlines. I don't have a deadline. I have 3 deadlines in the next couple of days. And I cannot afford to not be working on those assignments every single second I have. Although it is very difficult for me to gather any single form of motivation to actually start working on them because I'm experiencing severe burnout and severe emotional roller coasters. And it's just, you know what? Unfortunately, studying is the last of my concerns and is one of my biggest stress contributors. And I don't mean to sound extremely ungrateful, and I don't mean to sound like I regret my choices. It is just very difficult to be appreciative and to be grateful in moments like these. Although it is moments like these that should tell me if I really want this or not. You know what? This will send me down into an existential spiral that I cannot afford right now because I don't have the mental and emotional capacity to deal with another mental breakdown today. No. So I like fully went into panic mode when this thing happened with my laptop, only to find out that it was the lowest possible brightness of the display. And the way I found out is because I turned on my flashlight on my phone to try and figure out the key combinations that I was going to use. And like when the flashlight hit the display, I was like, wait, I do see something. What is going on? And this is just not my brightest moment. It wasn't my display's brightest moment, and it wasn't mine either. And I'm telling you, never have I ever in my life felt more stupid. Like, it is actually embarrassing for me to admit this to you now, but this is how my week started off. But apart from this, I knew this week was going to be extremely emotional, so to put it, because of everything I have going on. But I didn't expect it to be this emotional, because on top of the emotions that I already expected and prepared myself for, there was a whole another storm on top of it all, which I apparently attracted with my mind. I just cannot wait for the clock to hit midnight on Monday and for this to be over, because I just simply don't have it in me anymore. I know that nothing is going to change when the clock strikes midnight, but at least this week will be over. And I'm so excited to go back home for Christmas. I'm excited to be surrounded by people I feel comfortable around, to have a couple of days, hell, even a couple of hours off, and just have the opportunity to take my mind off of my life here. And this is what is going to happen next week, which I know is such a privilege that I get to have that, because it is not always the case that you can take a break from your life. And I'm so extremely grateful and so extremely looking forward to this break, because I don't have it in me anymore to continue at this pace. But unfortunately, the way things are structured right now, I cannot afford to even slow down. And if I don't get this break, I am going to break. And don't come out here and tell me what you're not changing, you're choosing. Girly pop, unfortunately, all of the things that are causing me stress in my life right now are outside of my control. So I cannot change them. I simply have to comply. And I don't want to go into details because, okay, this will sound so pick me, but like I literally just breadcrumbed it all and will not tell you the reason why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling, but like I just don't have the clarity right now. And I don't want to go into details because I'm still at the peak of my emotions, and it's just very difficult for me to verbalize and articulate what it is that I'm going through and why it frustrates me. Let's just say that I've gone back to writing poetry. I haven't written a single line of poetry this entire year, which is making me not a little bit. It's making me very disappointed in myself. Like, I won't lie. But like, you cannot force art. You cannot force artistry. You cannot force creativity. And if I don't have a muse, then I don't have a muse. It's just a little bit sad when you think about it, because this is something I used to do constantly. Like, I used to write all the time. And I have a pile of poems. And this year, I simply did not write. That was just not the case. I mean, I was creative in different ways that there's no denying it. My creativity was expressed here. My emotions found their getaway here. But I just really wish I had written more poetry. But you know what? I finally did. I wrote my first poem of the year this week. And it only took me to feel the weakest I have felt in forever. And when I tell you that my sadness, my weakness, and my emotional vulnerability create extremely beautiful poetry, if I can say so myself. But please believe me, like, the thing is, I create poetry in Bulgarian, and I find it very difficult to write in English, and I have tried to also write in German. But the thing is, I feel in Bulgarian, if that makes sense. I feel like any bilingual person, or maybe even like polyglots for sure, you would be able to understand. Even though you're proficient at the language, even though English is the language in which I live in, it is the language in which I academically think in, it is the language in which I communicate with almost all of my friends. So that, considering that, even though I have the ability to think in that language, there's still a particular language that I predominantly feel in. And for me, that is Bulgarian, because I first came to comprehend emotions and feelings in Bulgarian. And I have an easier time naming them in Bulgarian and feeling them in Bulgarian. And it is sometimes very tricky when I have better words in Bulgarian to express my thoughts and emotions, and then when I have English words to do that. And it's very iffy when, for example, 90% of my day-to-day life is in English, because I talk in English, I work in English, I study in English, I create in English, and then in my day-to-day life, the only time I speak Bulgarian is when I call my parents in the evening, and that is for like 10 minutes or so. So it is an interesting dichotomy is being created. So it is just very difficult sometimes to get my mind together and actually write or even express myself to someone who doesn't understand either of the languages. And I also find it very cringe cringe is the correct word. Even though I've told you before, like, don't feel embarrassed, don't feel like anything is cringe. This is cringe. I find it very cringe to use English words when I speak in Bulgarian, because I'm like, girl, you have an extremely rich language. Instead of using the 2 English words, just use the 10 it would take you to describe the emotion in Bulgarian. But language and being bilingual is another aspect that I actually want to dive deeper into in the future, because I find it so extremely interesting just how language was created and how we adopt it and how we put so much meaning into it and let it lead our lives and how it shapes our personality. So, for example, I have one character in Bulgarian, but my personality is at least a tad different in English. And I'm a significantly different person in German, for example, because I know school German. I don't know everyday German. So, it is all very circumstantial, and it is all extremely vocabulary bound. And it is all very much influenced by how you have learned and adapted the language to your lifestyle. So I find this personally very interesting, and I promise to do more research on this. And when I have actual facts and proof to provide you with, and not just my personal experience, then I'm going to create, I promise, a really nice, comprehensive episode or 2 about this, because I just think it's absolutely fascinating. Okay, I'm getting a little bit sidetracked, however. This week, in this episode, I just want to distract myself. I want to distract myself from this roller coaster of a week. I want to distract myself from every thought and emotion that is going through my mind right now. I just want to bring lighthearted storytelling for my own sake. I don't want to engage in any thought processing. I just want to talk to someone, and I want to talk with someone and just distract myself from this emotional storm that I'm in the eye of. So I'm not going to hyperanalyze my emotions. I'm not going to try to find the root cause for them, which is something that I normally do, as you probably have noticed if you've listened to any other of my episodes. I don't feel, I analyze, which is not the best, and it's making it very difficult to be because you're constantly defining yourself by and within your analysis of your emotions, and not your emotions as actual emotions. Like, that's not something that's analyzed and analyzable, but as something that is felt and feelable. Like, I'm not letting myself experience, I am forcing myself to describe. And those are two very different things that are not always compatible. I know that this probably made absolutely no sense, which is why exactly I don't need to be talking about this right now. I just need to distract myself and just have 20 to 30 minutes of fun. I just want to say that this week, every single day, I have woken up with strep throat that during the day I end up drinking so much tea, like the Boston Tea Party could never. Like, I could have drank their entire tea infested waters. And I drink this to make myself feel better and to make it stop eventually hurting, because in my mind, tea is not a drink I would consume on the daily just because. And I'm sorry, I know I've lived in England, but I'm not a tea drinker. For me, tea is the type of drink you drink when you're sick. And I just cannot identify health with tea, if that makes sense. Maybe eventually one day, but as for now, to me, consuming tea equals being sick. So yeah, I've been doing this every single day just for me to wake up the next morning with a more painful than the day before throat. So if I sound off, like sound and audio wise, that's why. Or at least that's one of the reasons why. Also, just a little pro tip that I learned just today from someone I promised to give a shout out to. So shout out. When I give shout outs, I don't want to mention people's names because I don't know how they feel about actually being named within this episode or whatever episode. So this person, they know, whatever, shout out. So this person, they told me that I shouldn't be drinking tea with caffeine in it when I'm trying to save my throat, because apparently the caffeine is making you dehydrated and it is just worsening the situation. So to ease a sore throat, drink caffeine-free tea. I didn't know this, and I can just assume that maybe some of you don't know this either, which is why I thought it's worth mentioning. Because, well, I apparently am destined to get sick a lot this season. And it's just, of course, before I go home, I'm going to get sick. Why not? Because I kid you not, I have been trying to donate blood every single time I've gone home for the past 2 years. And there hasn't been a single time in which I have gone home healthy Doesn't matter if it's summer, doesn't matter if it's winter, or like if I go home in good like health, I get sick the day or 2 days after me arriving home because of all the adrenaline wearing off, because of the climate switch that I'm experiencing, and all the stress and everything. So my immune system simply goes down, it crashes. And sure, like that's a given when you're on a plane and when you're traveling 16 to 18 hours to get from place A to place B, your immune system will inevitably face challenges. And I always get sick, and you cannot donate blood when you're sick, and you have to wait a certain amount after you're fine again to be able to donate blood, so that all the bad stuff and all the antibiotics and all that, like all the everything that's not normally in your bloodstream is out of your organism. But by the time I am in this window of quote unquote being clean, and like this window that would allow me to donate blood, I am not in Bulgaria anymore. And because I've never donated blood before in my life, I would love my first time to be back home in Bulgaria, so that I know that there is someone to take care of me if my body reacts in a certain way, or if I faint or whatever. And it's like the universe doesn't want me to donate blood. And I promise you, I really, really want to. So I don't understand why we are not on the same page here. I think that it's a nice thing to do. I think that if you can do it, like if you are healthy enough to donate blood, I think you should do it. It's like if you are a healthy individual, it recovers very quickly and it can save lives. So can I please at least once be healthy when going home and have a healthy experience at home so that I can finally donate blood? Like, this is all I ask for Christmas. Like, this, please, thank you. But you know what's funny? Apart from me losing my voice this week, every single day this week, I also lost my wallet. So on Tuesday, I finally put my new backpack into use because my old one I ripped when I went to see a role model last week, and I just very much had to rush and buy a new one because I needed it. And the thing is, in my old one, I had a separate pocket just for my wallet and my keys. But the new one just has a single pocket. It doesn't have any compartments. It's just a simple plain Adidas backpack. And I put my wallet in there and I just went on with my day. And it took me an hour to get home from university because they, of course they did. They closed off the street through which the bus that stops at my place would go, because they're doing some reconstruction, of course, because why not start with massive road reconstructions during winter when it's raining and storming every single day? Like, that makes so much sense, like, of course. So I get home and I immediately go to bed because I had a terrible migraine that entire day. I had been dealing with terrible, like, flows of migraine. Like, I would get a super extreme migraine every hour or so that would just last for a minute or two, and it would just kick in and then fade. And like in moments like this, I'm like, oh, so I have a brain tumor. Knock on wood, please, knock on wood. But my hypochondriac, I think is how it's pronounced. You know what I mean, like convinced that I'm sick. I just cannot help but go there. Anyways, so I'm taking a nap and then I receive a call from a friend of mine. And I see also that I have an email from university. And usually I ignore those because literally, I swear to God, I receive an email from them every single day which says, walk-in hours have been canceled. Like, at this point, I assume that walk-in hours have been canceled. Just send me an email when they're actually going to take place, because this is really, really embarrassing for you. So anyways, I receive this email and I see that it's not from the walk-in hours have been canceled, like, account. So I open it and it says, we found your wallet. It is at the reception in this building. And first of all, I thought it was a scam, because I'm like, someone again is trying to steal my data. But then I was like, maybe it's not a scam, because it's on my university email and I don't give this away. And I didn't register what's going on at first, because I was like, why are you sending us, keyword us, this email? I thought it was a public email they sent to everyone in the university, because again, they email us about the smallest little things, but not the important ones, of course. Like, if you actually need some crucial information, you're not going to get it. Like, it's freestyle everything. So then I noticed that they're not talking, like, they're not saying dear student, they're saying Martina. And I was like, what did I do? Why are you calling me by my name? Okay, Timothy Chalamet. And it then dawned on me that it is my wallet that was lost and then found and was left at reception. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, my wallet is literally in my backpack, my new backpack. I remember explicitly putting it there. Yeah, it wasn't in my backpack. It wasn't where I had put it. And it was already 6 p.m. And I hadn't started to study because of my migraine and because I had napped. And remember how earlier I told you it took me an hour to get from university to home? Now, in the panic of it all, it took me literally 30 minutes. Usain Bolt who? But those were some really wet 30 minutes. Because I kid you not, it was storming as if we were in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle. Like, there's a storm there. I don't know. I really thought the Bermuda Triangle was going to be such a big concern of my adult life when I was a child. I hardly ever think about the Bermuda Triangle. Why have we not paid more attention to the Bermuda Triangle? Why? One of life's greatest mysteries. Like, solve it. Just solve it. Anyway, so I would have taken the bus, but yeah, I already told you, like, infrastructure planning here is just impeccable when it comes to timing. And I tried to get a different line that would take me there, but it was getting delayed by 25 minutes every minute. And I just had to get to the reception as fast as possible, as you can imagine. At first, I don't know why, but I wasn't stressed. Like, when I finally clocked in the fact that it was my wallet, that there's my ID, there's my driver's license, there's my public transport card, there's my university card, there's my bank card, this is when I was like, oh, that's not good that they're not in my possession. So, very funny, because if I lose those things, I'm quite literally screwed. Because, especially considering that next week, I'm supposed to be going home. And without those documents, without my ID, I cannot travel. And yes, sure, I could go to The Hague. But, oh my God, my throat, like, just dried out. I really hope you heard me pronounce The Hague and not just Hague. Anyway, so I could potentially go to The Hague, but it would take months, literally, to get an appointment in the embassy to get an ID. And only then did I realize how serious the situation was. I, even like in the chaos of it all, forgot to check my bank account on my phone to see if someone had taken my card and used my money. Not that there was a lot of money on that card, but still, like, I'm pretty sure that if someone, God forbid, were to steal my card to use it to buy something, and seeing how little money I have on that card, they would feel bad for me and they would actually transfer me money. And that is like when, after this realization, I clocked in how important it was that my wallet was not with me. That is when I was starting to worry a little bit. Thankfully, I managed to get to the university soaked, like puddles in my shoes. Candice might have had squirrels in her pants. I had puddles in my shoes. So I got to university before reception closed, and they gave me my wallet, and like they didn't even check out the ID to see if I was actually the person on there, which was a little bit sketchy because, like, I mean, it's not like they have 700 wallets on there that particular day, but still, it would have been nice to make sure that you're giving it to the correct person. Anyway, so I got it. The rightful owner, got it. And everything was inside. Honestly, as much as I love Bulgaria, like, Bulgaria could never, like, besties would have returned it, but like they would have taken like 10 euros or something to be like, oh, like, this is an award for me for being good. But like here, not a single cent was missing because a professor had found it and they just like gave it to reception. And I was so grateful, because why would a professor steal from me? Again, like, they make so much more money than I do, and like they would just feel pity towards me. Anyways, so basically, what I'm trying to get at is that there is no DNA test needed for me to know that I am my father's daughter, because my dad, if his head was not attached to his body, he would simply lose it. And the same goes for me. Even though every time before I leave home, I'm always very panic checking for phone, keys, and wallet. I'm like, I can survive everything as long as I have my phone, keys, and wallet. So, what can I say? The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, or whatever the saying is. Okay, now I have Apple by Charlie XCX stuck in my head. Anyways, so let's continue. And I just like felt such a relief. And then when I called my parents to tell them, my mom was like, if you don't bring a box of chocolates or a bouquet of flowers for the person who found your wallet, I swear to God, I don't know what I would do, but this is not how I raised you. You better go and say a massive thank you and bring them a gift. And I'm like, okay, I know, don't worry, I will. So I went the next day and I bought a box of chocolates and I wrote this little note and I went to the reception, and it was another person working the desk, and I explained the situation, and this person's English wasn't necessarily great, and I'm not sure he understood that I meant that the box of chocolates was for the professor who found my wallet and not for the girl who gave it to me when I went to the reception. And I tried to state it explicitly 3 times, so I really hope that box of chocolates reached that professor. And if not, I just hope that the universe somehow lets them know that I'm extremely grateful, because they quite literally saved my Christmas. because without my wallet, I wouldn't have been able to go home. And I absolutely desperately need to go home and get away from my everyday life here for a little bit, in order to survive. And this instance just reminded me of last year when I was at the Weeknd's concert in Amsterdam. And I had gone there to queue from 8 a.m. and the concert didn't start until 8 p.m. So, crazy. So it was a very long day with a terrible heat wave, which, hello, like, we are in the Netherlands. What do you mean a heat wave? I had a terrible sunburn and sun dizziness, like sun fever. I don't know what it's like, what the exact term is, but when you're too long in the sun and you just start throwing up and feeling faint and you're dehydrated and you just simply don't feel well. So this is what I was going through. And I had met two girls while queuing, and I queued with them, and I left my stuff for them to watch while I went to the train station bathroom, to the toilet, and I changed. And then I went to Albert Heijn, which is a supermarket chain here in the Netherlands, and I bought a massive tub of lemon sorbet because this was the only remaining flavor. I would have gone for strawberry. So I bought a massive tub of sorbet to eat because I hadn't eaten anything, and it was crazy hot and it was crazy humid, and I felt like I was going to faint any second. When I actually got inside the venue, security was giving me so much water because I was as red as a tomato. Like, when I look back at my pictures, guys, it's scary. Like, I'll try to find this one picture I have of my ankles. I have never seen someone's ankles burn before. Well, I experienced it. And the thing is, you know how, I don't know if you know, because I don't know if you are as pale as snow the way I am. But when I experience sunburn, after the irritation is gone, the skin just darkens and pigment and stays tan. And I kid you not, oh my god, it's so embarrassing. So after my ankle sunburn went away, it just stayed tan compared to my feet and my legs and the entire rest of my body. So it always looked like my ankles were extremely dirty, and when I shower, I purposefully go around them, which is not the case. And it was just very embarrassing. And how do you even a tan line that's like this? I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to deal with the one I got when I was in Rome, and I still have the strap from my bag, as a tan line. I don't know. Live as a pale person who burns when they step into the sun. Literally give me 10 minutes and I'm sunburned. That's not an easy life, guys. That's why I always say wear sunscreen. Although I have to admit, I haven't been good with my skincare, and I really have to start again because I just should take care of my skin. So let's go back to me with the sorbet from Albert Heijn. So I got my sorbet and I sat in the shadow and I was just, contemplating my existence. And let me just say, since that moment, since that concert, I have sworn, I have taken an oath, I have signed a contract never again to buy general admission tickets, because I never in my life want to queue for a concert ever ever again. Because I cannot imagine anything worse. I cannot imagine anything more exhausting. And I cannot imagine anything that takes away more from the pleasure of the experience. Watch me fully eat my words when Harry Styles eventually, in 70 years from now, goes back on tour for his Laugh on tour, and I would just fight everyone for like next to the stage tickets. But that is a problem for future me. As for now, I am sticking to my gut feeling of never buying general admission again. It is just extremely stressful. It is extremely overwhelming. And honestly, if you are really a fan of the artist, then maybe it's worth it. But otherwise, girl, just get a seat. Honestly, make your life easier, make your life better. So I'm just a seat girl through and through since that moment, since that day onwards. I just cannot imagine concerts in any other way. Not only because of the queuing, but also during the concert itself, the general admission, which, for example, in particular during the Weeknd's concert, so that general admission section in which I was, which was the wrong one. Again, one day I promise to tell you the story of my The Weeknd experience. But that section was extremely chaotic, extremely disorganized, extremely violent. And I would say it just wasn't a pleasant experience. It literally has left such a bad aftertaste when it comes to my experience at The Weeknd's concert, which is why I never want to do general admission again. That trauma in itself was enough. But again, this also is another topic in itself. Let's just go back to me sitting in the shadow eating a sorbet, which is something I've been saying for the past 10 minutes. Let's go back, and I never go back. See, we never go back. We just go forward and up or whatever. Let's just go on. So I'm sitting in the shadow eating my sorbet, begging for everything to be over before it even begins. And this one guy approached me, and in that moment, I can promise you that I was anything but approachable. But he approached me, he sat next to me, and he started talking to me, and we were chatting, and in my head, I'm like, what does this guy want from me? Does he want money? Because in my mind, every single man who approaches me, a strange man who approaches me when I'm by myself, is a threat. Call it just being a woman. And best case scenario, they would just want money. So he did eventually ask me for money, and I was not in the mood to entertain him, so to put it. So he does eventually leave me alone, and I don't know why. I cannot explain why. But I felt like, because my backpack was on my back the entire time, I hadn't taken it off. I hadn't put it in my lap, which is what I normally do, especially in very crowded places, so that, I can keep a close eye on it. But I hadn't done it then. And that guy left. And he, when I said that I have no money to give to him, he was very okay and just got up and left. So that was a little bit suspicious. And while he was talking to me, I felt very suspicious towards him. But the second he left, I was like, that was too easy. He gave up very easy. I'm just certain I just got robbed. I just got robbed from the bag, and I didn't even register it. Because I didn't have any visibility of what was going on behind me, and I couldn't have seen if someone had taken something from my backpack. And I don't know what made me look in my backpack to check if my wallet was there. But I take everything out, everything. And my wallet is not there. And mind you, the doors to the concert were opening in an hour. And I was supposed to be in the stadium in an hour. And what is even more, the concert was taking place on the 24th. And on the 26th at 2 a.m., so some mere 20 something hours later, I had a bus to Germany from where I was flying to go to Bulgaria, to not come back in the Netherlands for the next 8 months. Now, without my ID, I cannot get to Germany. And I cannot fly to Bulgaria. And I didn't have my public transport card. And I didn't have my bank card, which meant that I couldn't even get back to the city in which I live in. And as you can imagine, I started panicking. I fully started blaming myself. And I think rightfully so, because I wasn't taking precautions. I was like, how can you be so stupid? You always know you should be cautious about such things with so many people around you. Why did you let this happen? Now, in my defense, me defending myself from myself, I was so out of it. So when the reality set in, I started running around asking people if they had seen someone take something from my backpack. I was asking people left and right, people who were around me, and people who saw the guy talking to me. And I was very visibly distraught. So I ran to Albert Heijn to see if they will let me see the camera footage from the cameras. As you can imagine, they said no. But I wanted to see the camera footage from the cameras that were pointed in my direction where I was sat. So, we can see what happened. But they couldn't give it to me. I think some legal laws, which totally makes sense. But it's always worth asking. The worst thing they can say is no. And people were just telling me, call the police, call the police, call the police. And I didn't know what to do because I've never had to call the police abroad. I've only called 112 in Bulgaria. And I ran to the toilet to see if I had left it there because I was like, okay, before I call the police, I need to make sure I didn't just drop it and I'm not overplaying it and maybe it's in the toilet. So I go there to see if I left it there. I ran back to the place where I was sat. I look around everywhere. Nothing. People were looking with me. People were trying to console me. People were very much feeding into my narrative and were like, yeah, he stole from you. He stole from you. And I'm just having, as you can imagine, a terrible experience. And then the guy comes back and he comes back with another guy. And he's like, what's going on? What's going on? And I straight up asked him, did you take my wallet? He's like, no, I didn't. But he's laughing. And I'm like, girl, I don't believe you. First of all, you're a man. I, by default, don't believe you. I'm such a man hater. I need to dial it back because what if this gets clipped and people, you know what? Call me a misandrist. If people can be misogynist, I can be misandrist. I'm not misandrist. Let's just continue with the story. So he says I didn't. And I asked him, did you see someone take my wallet? And he says that he didn't see anything. And he just tells me, calm down. And he tries to grab my hand. And now, if there's one thing I hate, it is being touched by strangers. And if there's a second thing I hate, it is being told when I'm mad to simply calm down. So I lash out and I say, don't fucking tell me to calm down. My entire identity is in this wallet. And I'm starting to get angry, not just worried. I'm starting to get angry. And then I was like, do I go to the concert now? What do I do? It's already gone. I spent the last 10 hours queuing. Can you imagine how out of my mind I was that I was still determined to go to the concert? But I wanted to call the police first and let them know. So I decided to go back to the girls I queued with to take my jacket. Yes, in the heat wave, I had brought a jacket. Don't even ask. It's cold in the morning, okay? So I went there to get my jacket because I had left it there with them and to tell them what's going on. And everyone who heard me telling them started looking around for my wallet. And I just grabbed my jacket and I'm on my way to call the police just to feel something in my jacket's pocket. So I found out that my wallet was in my jacket's pocket this entire time. Fully zipped, fully protected, fully there, fully mine. And I had no clue when I had put it there. I had not a single recollection of what happened, where and when it happened. Because, again, sun fever. But my wallet was there and so was everything. But I don't know what it is about me always losing my wallet hours before I have to travel and need my identification documents. But I really need this to stop. Please, 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 pretty please, because it is fully stressing me out. And it serves as a reminder that I should be more cautious, that it is on me and it is my responsibility to take care of my stuff and to protect my stuff and my belongings. And it's a reminder that I should just be more careful. But I'm just a girl. I'm literally just a girl. And I'm telling you, I haven't felt adrenaline like that in my life. So the Weeknd's concert was definitely one to remember. It was definitely not the best experience I've had in my entire life, but it was undoubtedly exhilarating in one way or another. I just need this to, stop happening to me because I don't know how many times I can deal with it anymore. And back then, I didn't have a passport yet because it had expired. And I was about to get a new one when I went back home because, again, The Hague documentation administration appointments, very difficult. In Bulgaria, you just go, take a picture, wait, done. So I was about to get a new passport in the summer. But yeah, back then, without my ID, without my driver's license, without any form of identification, I wouldn't have been able to go home. Also, we weren't in Schengen back then. So luckily now I still have that passport that I issued last summer. And I could have used my passport to get back home now if, God forbid, my wallet wasn't to be found. But it's too much complications going on, and I'm just so extremely grateful that these two things ended up actually with a happy ending and not me losing every single form of identification that I have, because that would have really sucked. How long do you think it would have taken me to realize that my wallet is missing? Because I'm pretty sure I would have gone 2 days, because yeah, it's me. Lastly, let's talk about Spotify Wrapped. So it would come as no surprise that my top artist of the year is Taylor Swift. Although I genuinely thought it would be Sabrina Carpenter because, well, you know what, I've already expressed my admiration for her. No need to go there again. Also, I didn't listen to Taylor for a long time post Vienna because it was very triggering to me. So, you know what? It actually is a surprise that she's my top artist. My top 5 is rounded off by Ariana Grande, ABBA, The Weeknd, and Rihanna. And my top 5 songs are Life is a Highway, a massive bop, Greedy by Tate McRae, Fuck This Club Up by Nicki Minaj, Houdini by Dua Lipa or Dua Peep, and Excess by Tate McRae. Now, I knew Life is a Highway would be my top song because I was streaming it like crazy, but the other 4 is simply a bit questionable. I'm not saying I haven't listened to those songs. I'm just saying that they're definitely songs that I have been streamed far more. Like, for instance, Espresso, Juno, Guilty Conscience, and any song off of Reputation. So this was interesting. I'm losing my voice. Okay. I just swear to God, for the past couple of years, I don't think my Spotify Wrapped is a truthful representation of what my listening habits are, because it always feels like they're only presenting me with data they have collected up until March. But okay, you do you, boo. I'm not judging you. I just really wish we got to see our top genres and top albums this year. Also, what the hell does Pink Pilates Princess Pop Strut mean? Just call me a slur at this point. Call me gay. Call me the D word. Just don't call me a Pilates princess, because I never struggle more than when I'm doing Pilates. I'm not a Pilates princess. I'm a Pilates victim. I wish I could do it. Maybe, you know what, I should try getting back into it again. And also, same thing goes for my day lists. The AI-generated descriptions are sometimes so nonsensical. It is actually ridiculous even for a chronically online person like me. That's why AI cannot replace humans, guys. Because no human would ever tell me that I'm having a demure bilingual delulu crying Thursday afternoon. What the hell does that mean? Anyways, don't get me riled up. However, there's another reason I was looking forward to Spotify Wrapped more than I have ever done before. And that is because I, as a podcaster, get my own Spotify for Creators Wrapped. And I just wanted to say that I'm so extremely grateful for every single one of you out there who tunes in to listen to me yap for something sometimes interesting, sometimes not so interesting. I really appreciate you all so much, and I wish I could articulate better how grateful I am that you see value in what I do. I'm so humbled by the fact that you choose to dedicate your invaluable time to my silly stories, and trust me, I don't take it for granted. So if you've ever listened to an episode, be it an entire one or just a second of it, if you've ever even thought about listening to my podcast but didn't actually listen, I want you to know that I'm forever grateful for you and your support. With that being said, before I get too sappy and before I lose my voice completely, because I cannot handle another mental breakdown today, I want to thank you all for listening to this episode. I hope to see you in the next one. And until then, stay hydrated, wear sunscreen, and don't support genocide. Bye!